You have a story. Yes, you. You have a story in your head. You might not think of it that often, maybe once every decade, where you think about it, you're just sitting there, you're taking a shit, you're driving to work, your mind isn't focused on something. And in that brief moment, it just sparks. It just something reminds you of that one time. That one time, for better or for worse, where your life changed forever. Could be great. It could be taking a chance and asking a girl out. Or it could be the time you went cliff diving and now you can't walk anymore. Who knows? You have a story that makes you unique and changed your life forever. And those are the stories I'm looking for on What Was I Thinking? Please, if you have a story like that you would like to have included, email me, WWITpod@gmail.com. Thank you very much for joining. It's funny that this is the first episode of this version of the podcast. And just today, I was sitting in bed, flipping on the TV, and a TV show was on. That was the last TV show I worked on before I went full-time on the Church of What's Happening Now. No life vest, no other job, and it just got me to think, like, what if I had never met Joey? What if I decided to stick in editing? Where would I be right now? What would my life look like? And me writing a message to a comedian named Joey Diaz on Facebook forever changed my life, my entire life, until I'm 80 years old, will all be because I sent that Facebook message. Now, other stuff happens, and there's good and bad parts about it, but that one story, that one act, changed my life forever. And those are the stories I'm looking for. So email me, WWITpod@gmail.com. Thank you very much to Ritual for sponsoring this episode. I'm going to tell you more about them later, but just do me a favor. Go to ritual.com. That's RITUAL.com/Syatt, SYATT, and you're going to get 10% off your first 3 months of Ritual. Thank you very much to Ritual, and thank you very much to our first caller, emailer, writer, secret teller, and we're going to call him, starts with an H. I'm trying to think of a good one. Let me find out his real name. Okay. That's, you know you're out there. Your name is a name that I should use because no one, it's a name I've never heard before. But let's switch it. What's a good H name? Let's go with Harry, like Dirty Harry. Harry, I'm excited to read your message. And he knows the way to my heart, and it's flattery. He said, "Hi, Lee. First of all, thanks for being one of the brightest parts of my week. The podcast really is one of my favorites," and he spelled favorites with a U, which makes him fancy, and I can't miss it. Hearing about your life somehow makes me feel better about mine. Well, Harry, that I don't know if that's a compliment or it's like, hey, your life is fucked up, so mine just seems can't get any better than this. My life is so much better than yours. Either way, thank you. So this story is basically one that took place on my 16th birthday. And unfortunately, it isn't a weed story. It's an alcohol story. Here, Harry, I don't know where you live. Number one, I don't think you're allowed to smoke weed at 16 anywhere. So and he says underage drinking for sure. So maybe you can pretend it's my 21st. No, I cannot. Because we're telling the truth. That's why this podcast is going to be great, because you're not saying it. I'm saying it. It's obviously not my story. Unless, how crazy would I have to be to like write out a story, print it out, and then read it if someone else was saying it? What if these were all just my stories, but I can't pretend that was your 21st. It was your 16th birthday. It was a really big year for me because I finally got pubes. No. Because my stupid friends and I had finally figured out a way to get into a bar that would serve us. I remember that I never had I never had a fake ID, because then I skipped ahead. That's how we got in. Spoiler alert. I never had a fake. I was always I never even bought weed. I've literally never bought weed illegally because I was sure that I would go to undercover cop, and I wouldn't have the balls to go up to a bouncer and give them an ID. That was one of the most upsetting things about turning 21 for me, is very rarely do you get carded. And I know I don't have hair. When I had 21, I had luxurious hair and a baby face. I looked like I was 12. No one ID'd me. But I remember I was a sophomore in college and I found a bar that wouldn't card. And let's just say, I'll tell you, my story and Harry's are a little similar. Not exactly the same. Said, so it was me and 5 guys who all snuck into a bar with fake ID. That's not really sneaking in. That is just impersonating a 21-year-old. I want, how did you do it? Was it like McLovin? Did you look like him? What were their names? That's what I wanted. Give me all the details. Let me marinate in it. We got in and we knew we had a budget. Ooh. That's what, when you're 16, it's kind of hard to go and ball out at a bar. I don't know what minimum wage was back then. But when I was 16, I was making $7.25 an hour. It took me all night, all day to make like 3 drinks worth. It was terrible. See, yep. So they had a $50 each budget, which is at $7.25 an hour. It's about one day, and that's not including taxes. They're sitting on the roof. I'm just skipping some parts, and they let us smoke too, which... Are you talking about weed or cigarettes? He said it's not a weed store, so that's maybe cigarettes. He said this is probably the first time I should have thought to myself before doing something, but I decided to get the high-end whiskey instead of a cheaper one. Okay. Whiskey is a bold move for a 16-year-old. What was my first drink? I don't remember my first drink. I do remember that early on when I was like 18, I don't even know if I'd been drunk before, to be honest. I must have had a couple drinks, but in Israel, I went to Israel for my first semester of college, and you can drink there at 18. So I ordered a strawberry Smirnoff Ice, and the bartender was a female IDF soldier, that's Israeli Defense Forces, and she asked me if I was a man, so I got a beer. But a high-end whiskey at 16, that is, at 16, like a new drinker, and again, I'm obviously not advocating any 16-year-olds to drink, don't be crazy, but most 16-year-olds, I would guess, are doing the Mike's Hard. I mean, it is 2022, I don't know what maybe you guys are doing high-end whiskeys and fucking heroin on the tail. I don't know what you're doing now. God, I'm so glad. Part of me wishes I was a kid now, but part of me is very happy that I'm not. He said, I'd only drank a few times before this, so I only knew a couple of brands. Johnny Walker being top of the line. Johnny Walker is, I think anyone who likes, I like bourbon because it's a little sweet. And when I say I like bourbon, it makes me feel like a man, like an adult. And I can't even really drink it straight. I'll drink it with Diet Coke. Save calories? No. I actually like it better. But straight Johnny Walker is a hell of a move for a 16-year-old. Harry's friends agree to only a couple drinks and get home early, which, looking back, Harry, you have to know was a lie. Because drinking Johnny Walker at 16, you're starting, like, that is basically pure fire you're drinking. What are you gonna put Splenda in it, like Michael from The Office? God, Johnny Walker. Cut to about 3 hours later, and we're all plastered. I'm guessing that $50 budget went out the window, because that glass of Johnny Walker is at least, let's say, 10, right? Probably even 15. Who knows? It could have even. That's how little I know about booze. I don't know what a glass of Johnny Walker costs. So definitely over budget. We had maybe like 9 rounds or something. Do you have a credit card at 16? How are you paying for all this? I can barely remember. At this point, I decide I have another great idea. Let's do a round of absinthe. I'm not sure if you know what absinthe is since you don't drink as often, but it's basically like the alcohol equivalent of Stars of Death or the moon cookie that Joe used to take. I order one for everyone on the table. I do know what absinthe is. I drank it out of some guy's backpack at a concert, at a infected mushroom concert in Tel Aviv in probably, I'm going to say it was my first semester. Yeah, it was 07. It was the fall of 07, and I drank absinthe out of a backpack. It's supposed to be hallucinatory, I think, too. I just felt it burned, because I think you have to do it with sugar. I don't know the full, all the rules with absinthe. But I know Johnny Walker and Absinthe is not what I think most 16-year-olds are drinking. That's, shout out to Henry. Harry? Whatever your name is. It's neither of those. Let's switch it to Henry. So Henry had about 2 rounds of absinthe, and then the puking starts. So Henry, Halbert, is Halbert the name? I'm gonna switch it to Halbert. Halbert, are you lying? Because now that I'm reading this, 9 rounds of Johnny Walker and then 2 rounds of absinthe. Thinking the puking should have started a little earlier. Unless some of the rounds were like some of my rounds. Like, I got some mozzarella sticks. A round of mozzarella sticks for all my friends. That's a lot of drinks. 11 drinks is probably about 7 too many drinks. Maybe, I don't know. I'm kind of a pussy with alcohol. But that seems like a lot. Especially for one of your first times. So everyone's taking a break to use the bathroom, literally vomiting their guts out. It's about to close, and the manager shows up with a bill. And they take a look at the bill. With all the shots and expensive whiskey, they have racked up about 4 times their budget, so about $200 a person. And they're also being charged cleaning fees for puking and making a mess of the bathroom. That seems fair. I worked at a movie theater and someone shit themselves once and it fell on the ground and I ran away because I refused to clean up poop. They say, like, oh, I wonder why people don't want to come back to work in the service industry. Because a gaggle of 16-year-olds puke all over the bathroom and they're barely getting paid. Halbert, not to make you feel bad, but I might be on the manager's side with this one. But don't worry about Halbert. Him and his friends had a brilliant idea. They start arguing with the manager and the bouncer, saying that they never puked. It wasn't them. It couldn't be them. What's that, like, children's thing? Who stole the cookie from the cookie jar? Alex. Wasn't me. Then, I forget, you know the rhyme. I would love to have a video of this, because I know, and only from personal experience, I know that in your head, Halbert, by the way, someone should name their child Halbert. In your head, you made like a great argument. And you're like totally coherent. But in reality, like the way the manager or the bouncers remember it is like, like not even really forming words or like sounds that you have never been made by humans before. Said it couldn't be them. We were all sober, and no one was even close to that drunk. You had 11. You have 11 of anything, you're going to be kind of fucked up. You have 11 Reese's cups, you're going to be kind of fucked up. We think that the cleaning fee should be wiped, and we should only have to pay for the drinks that we had. Halbert gets really vocal. Halbert has balls, saying it's his birthday, and that they should treat their guests nicer. Halbert, next time you're 16 and drinking underage at a bar, I wouldn't, if you puke everywhere, which I would not recommend, I would maybe not make as much of a scene. Feel like if you're making a scene, they might be like, hey, how old are you? And then you're going to have to show them that fake, which if I'm Halbert, I'm guessing it might be made on, is it on cardboard? Was that a real fake? The world should be a nicer place. We've strayed far from the paradise we were promised, and we should be ashamed of ourselves. I love when people get drunk and they start getting philosophical. And he's like, listen, 6 of us may have just filled your bathroom with vomit. like the floor, and the thing when you puke when you're drunk, especially at 16, I don't know how much of it's making it into the bowl. There's a cleaning fee involved. There might have been zero in the toilet bowl, to be honest. But I love how you're like, listen, we've strayed far from the paradise we were promised. The world is a fucked up place. We all need to be nice to each other. And the first step of being nice is we don't want to pay because we puked all over your bathroom. Also, did you get it anywhere else? Because I've had drunk pukes before. They kind of sneak up on you. They kind of it's like a homeless person comes out of nowhere to ask you for change. It's like, I didn't know I was here. Puke. Smells about the same as a homeless person who's hiding in the bushes. R.I.P. to the guy in San Francisco. Uh-oh. Somehow I don't think Halbert's going to get his wish. He says he starts to feel something. He says he starts to feel his speech overwhelm him. He can feel it on his soul, in his stomach. He decided to let it out, and what it was puke. He puked all over the manager's shoes, which, by the way, when you're arguing to not have to pay to clean up puke, you'd have to be a pretty good salesman to get out of paying for that. As you're puking on the manager's shoes. Like, if you could puke on the manager's shoes, wipe and go, see, I clearly haven't puked because that puke looks different than the puke in the bathroom. So I shouldn't be charged. This is my first puke. Oh. He said it wasn't just a 2-minute accidental puke. That's a long... I feel like I don't really puke for 2 solid minutes. That's like Team America World Police level puke. A 2-minute... He said it was a good, long, extremely gross, and unstoppable kind of puke. You had 11 drinks. I think anyone who had 11 drinks would be tough to keep that down. Did you eat before? I almost called you Harriet. That could be a man's name. You don't know. Did you have anything to eat before? I did that. Oof. And it's tough when you're so sure you didn't puke. He said the puke just wouldn't stop. And the manager can't believe what's happening. His friends can't believe what's happening. And he feels like the biggest asshole on the entire planet. Harriet, don't feel bad, man. I had plenty... Puking really wasn't my thing, but you guys have seen, I've been high on the internet for about a decade. And I remember once I came home to my apartment complex in LA, and there was this dude, one of my neighbors, was hammered, like so hammered. Every time I saw him, he had an 18-pack of Coors walking into his apartment. And one night I came out, and he was like literally on the floor outside of his apartment. And I opened the door, and he just kind of crawled in, but there were like vodka bottles there. There's something about booze that it's easy to get too fucked up. Especially, did you have 9 Johnny Walkers? That's too many. That's way too many. You're supposed to sip a Johnny. You don't take shots of Johnny Walker. That's not good. He said, obviously we get kicked out of the place. Fair. That's hard to argue with. I would love to see you be like, hey, listen, I know you were mad at me about the puke at the beginning. This one was my bad. But please don't kick us out. Our IDs? Don't worry about our IDs. So the manager... Ugh. His friend's older brother managed to get the cash and pay the dude off. But they were not happy. How much cash? I don't know if I got puked on for apparently longer than 2 minutes. I don't know if people walk around with that much cash. I feel like that's at least 1,000. I would say at least 1,000. Let's make it $12.50. That's a lot. He said, my friends and I spent the next hour on the streets trying not to piss ourselves from laughing so hard. Henry, this is not on you. I appreciate you sending in this letter to WWITpod@gmail.com. Don't forget. But there's something about being drunk and walking around the streets of somewhere. I don't know where you were. Timbuktu? Doesn't say. Somewhere where they put a U in favorite, which I love. But there's something about being in your early 20s, I guess you were 16, drunk, walking around the city. You feel like you're the Avengers. Like, it's just like nothing can get to you. You're impervious. I high-five people. If you ever see me high-five and I am hammered, I go, I make that noise, and I do a little gun fingers, and then I go, and that's all I need to get going. They said he said one guy passed out on the road, but we got him home somehow, probably Animal House style, in the shopping cart. They woke up the next day with really bad hangover, and that's it. He said that's where the story ends. Those 5 guys are still my best friends in the whole world, and it's been about 10 years, and I hope they'll be around forever. Wow. Halbert, I have so many questions. Like I said, I want to know, did he have 9 Johnny Walker? I don't think anyone in the history of the world has ordered 9 Johnny Walkers just for them. If you, I feel like this is one of those rehab commercials that you see at 3 a.m. Do you have a problem drinking? Did you order 9 Johnny Walkers at 16? How much do you drink now? Did that turn you off from drinking? Did you never drink again? Are you a raging alcoholic? How did your life? I would love to know how your life changed that night. I would love to know that. I really would. I'm going to tell you my story that's similar to Harriet's. Again, not a gender thing. I just like the name Harriet. I do want to say again, thank you to our sponsor, Ritual. I love Ritual. I really do. Sometimes less is more, and that includes your multivitamins. While most multivitamin brands try to give you everything they think that you need, Ritual takes a food-first approach to their multivitamins. Ritual nixes shady fillers and additives and instead focuses on nutrients to help fill gaps in your diet. I love it. They sent me some. They look cool. They look like not super futuristic. That's the word I was looking for. They look, and I like that they're putting in things that I need, because I'm an idiot. I don't know what I need. I'm the guy. I go to the store. It says multivitamin. I don't even know what I'm putting in, and I'm trying to get healthier. And the best way to do that is with Ritual, because they did the work. They researched, and they know exactly what you need. They have Ritual Essential for Men 18 plus multivitamin. They also have one for women. They have ones for if you are trying to be a mom. They have ones for every stage of your life. Please do me a favor. Go to ritual.com/Sciat. Just check everything out. All of their products were formulated by exhaustive research, and this multivitamin helps fill the nutrient gaps in diets of men 18 plus, of women ages 18 plus, everyone. Ritual has something for you. A clinical study showed it increases vitamin D levels by 43% and omega-3 DHA levels, I don't know what that is, but I think I want them higher, by 41% in just 12 weeks. Ritual is committed not only to third-party testing, but traceable and vegan-friendly ingredients and clear communication, so you always get things that you need and none of the filler. And also, this is not even in the copy I checked, they have recyclable product packaging. They care about you. They care about the environment. Right now, Ritual is offering my listeners 10% off of your first 3 months. Visit ritual.com/Sciat, SYATT, and turn healthy habits into a ritual. That's 10% off at ritual.com/Sciat. So, when I was not even 21, I was a sophomore in college. I lived in the north end of Boston, and there was a bar that just everyone knew didn't card. I don't know if that was like, if you have one like that, We all knew it didn't card. My roommate got broken up with. I came out of my room. I'm doing like the real condensed version. He had a bottle of Jose Cuervo that was already started. And we were friendly, but not like best friends. We took down about half at least, if not three. I think at the end it was like down to 3/4. But it had already been started. Needless to say, we had a lot of tequila. We stumbled down the street to this bar that did not card. And we went upstairs and I started drinking Long Island's, which is the only reason you're drinking a Long Island is to get fucked up. Like, Harriet, next time you turn 16 and you're sneaking into a bar illegally, which you should not do, go with Long Island's. Probably a little more, your puke will be more delicious. Or like me, you might not remember puking, because I remember the bartender woke me up. I was basically sleeping on the bar. I get home and I pass out. The next day, my roommate, he had told me he was going to New York. I look in the tub and there's puke everywhere. The top of the toilet is off and had cracked in two. And I was talking to a friend and I was like, fuck, my roommate puked everywhere and left. How could he do? I'm going to go to a hotel. He's going to have to pay for this. I went into the bathroom and I noticed that the puke was what I ate for lunch the day before. I looked down. There's puke on my shirt. I had blacked out. First time ever blacking out. And I had puked so violently. I was like, this is not going in the toilet. This is going in the tub. And I had gotten so hammered that I have no memory of it. That's probably pretty. I would love to see video of me puking in a tub. God, alcohol. I'm excited to read some weed stories, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of alcohol stories, and it's just so. I've puked on weed too. I've puked on weed, but it's been because I ate too much. That's it, and I felt great, and I just kept eating. I what is it called when you boot and rally? Except I just booted and ate some more. God, alcohol. 9 John. I don't know if you had. I think you maybe had like 1 or 2 Johnny Walkers and then like a beer. Did you have beers in there? That's a lot of drinks, Harriet, Halbert, whoever you are. Thank you very much for sending in your story. Please do me a favor. Send in your story to WWITpod@gmail.com. I will read them on the air. If you want to send in a video or an audio recording of yourself, I'll play that. I'm excited to have this podcast going. I appreciate you sending in the story. I hope whoever you are, wherever you are, I'm just teasing you. I appreciate the love. I think you know that this story is fucked up, and anything I tease you about is all out of love. I appreciate you all for watching and listening, and I hope that the stories keep coming in to WWITpod@gmail.com. I hope you trust me with your stories. Be sure to tell me how you want me to address you, and tell me if you don't want to be made fun of. If you don't want to be made fun of, I'm probably going to do a little bit, but I'll try to hold off. I appreciate all of you. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Thank you very much to Ritual. Again, ritual.com/Syet for 10% off your first 3 months. And have a great week. I'll see you next week on What Was I Thinking?